You know, I just be recording videos and forget to even press the button pause, break, something like that. Looks like I have no water today, and that's okay, folks. Welcome back to I Think of Something podcast. I'm your man, the myth, the legend, Chris Russell, and I'm coming through on your ones and twos. I know I ain't got no radio, but I got something though. I got me. All right, guys. So typically I start off the podcast talking about the topic. The topic today, we are going to talk about my relationship with wrestling and video games and how both impacted my mental health. Now, before we start, I like to start the pod off with asking, how am I doing? I'm doing okay. Just did a nature walk around the park to get myself more acclimated to this new normal. During that walk, I managed to uncover some traumas that were holding me back. Those traumas, well, let's actually dive into that right now. My relationship with video games and wrestling. These were coping mechanisms for me when I needed to escape reality. There's been many times where I just did not want to be in this moment with people or anybody in general. And that's where I locked into video games. For instance, there's this one game that me and my brother played. Shout outs to my brother. This game is called Metal Gear Solid. Yes, Metal Gear Solid. The 10-hour video game that has no cutscenes, no skip features, none of that. Although it did have cutscenes that lasted for about 10 to 15 minutes, which actually taught me patience with the video games too. But this one particular game, Metal Gear Solid, this was the game of all games. It debuted on the PlayStation, if I recall. I believe it was on the PlayStation at that time. I played as much as possible, especially hiding from the enemies and hearing the sounds and the whistling. It was entertaining. Barrel. Snake. Yeah. And you can see how these video games have created this personality out of me. To the point, I had to find an outlet for this personality. And that's where wrestling came into play. Now, I mentioned in a pod before, me and my brother wrestling in the living room. Well, that wrestling actually grew more within me. To the point, I bought the video game. The very first WWE, WWF video game I bought, wrestling for those, was WWF SmackDown. Hold on. I know. It's outdated. It's past the time. It's all the way back in 2000s. Yes. And that game taught me how to play video games in general. I started going with cheat codes, grabbing any type of papers that allowed me to strategize with the game. Like I tell my sons and my sister, y'all gotta get in the lab. I was in the lab as a kid. Played video games from sun up to sundown, and then sun up again. I have played video games for over 24 hours at one point. My mom got on me for that. She did. Hey, but look what it did. It created me in that process. It created this charismatic, confident, loving man that I am. But this also factored into my mental health. Backyard wrestling entertainment. BWE for if you know, if you know. This was my first taste at wrestling. Now, I did play the games. They were fun as heck. But I needed more. I wanted more. And at the tender age of 15 years young, I came across a few buddies of mine who are now lifetime friends. I came across these buddies just sitting in their front yard, more like a brownstone. This is back in Brooklyn. I'll actually paint the picture for y'all guys. 15 years old, Brooklyn, East New York. I'm hanging out with a couple of kids from the block. And one of those particular kids happens to be a wrestling fan. Now at that time, I've been 2 years removed from watching wrestling because I lived in the South at the time. And my aunt said, no wrestling, none of that junk. To me, I'm like, that junk? Wow. So I came into this learning about more people who loves the sport, loves the entertainment aspect of wrestling and the sport of wrestling. And we all just clicked. So in East New York, I met this guy who was playing his backyard wrestling matches in his front yard on the TV. Shout outs to you, Lewis. On his TV for everybody to see. And I became enamored by it. I needed to be there. I wanted to be there. I had to be there. So that's when I spoke up. And that's when I met Kevin. Kevin, you are a great guy, man. Shout outs to you. He brought me on board, allowed me to be who I am and what I wanted, but it came with some limitations, of course. Those limitations were, what moveset you want to use? What entertainment song, excuse me guys, theme song are you going to use? And at the time, I didn't know what to choose. There were so many great songs to choose from. And then one song just spoke up to me. It led to me becoming Ty BTZ Biggs. Yes, that is the wrestling name. I stand by it. How did I get that name? Quite simple, honestly. Tyrell is my middle name, so shortened for Ty. Biggs because of my height. And BTZ came from Kevin. Kevin still doesn't know where it came from, but I finally watched that episode, Kevin. I watched that Raw episode where X-Pac called Booker T BTZ. I kid you not. That was such a full circle moment. I said, this was amazing. I love it. I love it. And now I know where the name came from. I still have friends to this day that call me BTZ. And I embrace that love from them. It's taking me back to the first time I won my championship. And Rookie of the Year. I almost forgot about that. I won Rookie of the Year in Backyard Wrestling and Entertainment. It was it was great. I'd allow myself to be a kid. And I know I'm stammering because, well, I get excited when I talk about wrestling. But we came on here to talk about everything and anything under the sun. And I'm just tapping the screen, guys, because I'm just trying to keep the screen open so we can stay on topic. So now segue back into my brother and Metal Gear Solid. How did those two come about? Well, being a younger brother, middle child preferably, middle child syndrome, it does exist. Middle child, stand up. Being a middle child, I watched my brother play video games. And when he played the video games, he'll finish them within a day. The longest he's ever taken on a video game, I say a week. I know I said it twice. Twice is nice. But this one game, it connected us. I watched my brother play Metal Gear Solid intently with so much life and tact. And that's when I learned how to be patient. I'm still impulsive. Still happens. But I learned how to be patient. And that patience allowed me to find peace within myself. Find peace within my activities, my children, my family, my faith, finances, fun and leisure, relationships. And I continue to use that patience to be the best version of me. Now, growing up watching wrestling taught me how to act too, how to emote. Yes, emote. It also taught me how to follow a story, keep the story going, and be continuous with everything that I do. So how did video games and wrestling factor into my mental health? Well, I've already brought up one: patience. Emotional intelligence. I learned that from wrestling. Didn't realize I would learn that from there. And teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work. Yeah. Learning how to play the game with my brother. I learned how to take turns on different levels. Wrestling, I learned how to take turns with my moves. If anybody tells you wrestling is a choreographed dance with a determined finish, yeah, I said it, guys. I said it. I still love it. I understand kayfabe. We all know what it is. If you know, you know. If you don't, then ask your buddy. Ask your wrestling buddy. Hell, your wrestling buddy may be right next to you. You may be that wrestling buddy. But it has taught me how to take my time, even with my hands. Take my time. So, we have come to the conclusion of the pod. So what am I going to take away from today's episode? Take my time. Take your time, young man. Mama used to say, take your time. This will help out with my mental health and my peace. All right, guys. We have come to the end of the pod for today. Like, comment, subscribe, share, comment. Do everything you can. Let's engage. Let's find out more information about each other. And it may be something that you may find out from just watching this pod that'll help you out. Until next time, guys, that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. Peace and love, y'all.